studio and ready to create. I'm actually trying to experiment and figure out lesson plans for a junior high class. So you guys are going to get to experiment and think along with me. So today what I want to try and do is reproduce something like this little bobblehead gadget. I want to reproduce him in paper mache, but bigger. So this is going to be a challenge because I haven't done it before, and I didn't find any lesson plans that I could follow. There may be some out there, but you know, that's what it's all about, right? Experimentation. So we're going to get started. Supplies that you're going to need. You're going to need newspaper. You're going to need your favorite glue for paper mache. You're going to need some masking tape, a pair of scissors. You will probably need some kind of form that you can place the balloon, you'll need balloons, on while it's drying. Right now it's static electricity is trying to make it come off, but hey, that's what I need that for, all right? And so I pulled a brush, and the brush is going to be for me to apply the glue. You'll have some kids that don't like to get their hands messy. But you can also use just your hands. So, there you go. Let's get started. Woo! Alright, so the first thing I have to do is blow up the balloon, right? And preferably not this one because I cut a hole in it. So, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is blow up the balloon. I don't want it too big. I'm actually getting ready for a camp, and so my time constraint is going to be iffy. So I'm going to caution them not to make them huge. So I'm going to make it probably about this size, maybe a little bigger, and tie the knot. Yay. The next thing I'm going to do is take my cardboard and cut a strip. And the trick is that I want to cut a strip away from the, away from the grain, right? So against the grain, I guess is the better way to say it. And the reason why is because I want it to roll. And if it's against the grain, where the grain is going with my roll here, it's going to curve. The reason I want to do that is because this little bobblehead guy, I need to attach the head to the body, and I don't think the balloon, if I put 2 coats of paper mache, is going to be enough to support that. So I'm going to wrap a piece of cardboard around his middle to give him a little bit more support. And hence where that tape is going to come into play. So, I'll take the tape. And of course you want to cut one that's going to wrap around as close. That's a little bit small, but it'll work. It'll be just fine. And ta-da, right? And that'll hold in place. Now I'm ready for paper mache. When you are doing your paper mache, newspaper has a grain. If the kids tear this way, you get, it's harder to tear, right? But if you tear this way, it just tears really nicely. So I have them tear, and the reason why is so that the edges of the newspaper are kind of feathered. It actually lays a little bit better, and you want a variety of sizes to go around. You don't want anything really big. If I tried to paper mache this whole big thing on my balloon, it's going to wrinkle and do all kinds of things. It's not going to work. So we want manageable pieces. If you're going to use your hands, you'll dip in to your glue and slide it off and place it on, right? Whoops, there goes the balloon. That's such fun. Yo. I actually love working with liquid starch, but unfortunately my store didn't have it. So I am going to be working with Mache right now. This would be the finger method, and it would be very, very messy. So you'll notice that I'm taking the glue. I dipped it completely in, and then I'm sliding it off my fingers to place it on the balloon. All right. Well, with Mod Podge, I don't see that that's going to work very well. So I am also going to use the brush for this instead. And again, I guess it depends on the glue that you're using, right? But if I was using liquid starch, I would be dipping it. So I got the body built. I left this opening right here so that this is where the head's going to pop in, right? Now I'm working on the feet. And so what I did was I took some pieces of cardboard. Let me just show you what I did here. And I cut that into some strips. Make sure all the strips were about the same size. And then you just break the cardboard. So decide how big of a leg you want and roll that around. There's a better job you do breaking it, the more even it will be. And then tape it. All right. And then what I did was I taped it in place. So I'm going to do another one here so you can see what I'm doing. Now, will this balance? I have no idea. Once it dries, this first layer, I may have to make some adjustments. So I've got a little roll of tape here. And I'm going to tape that in place right there. You can hot glue, tape, you know. You need much thinner strips. So I would take something like this and tear it in half. And I'm going to go, and I'm doing one leg at a time because it won't fall off. That's okay. You know. So I go this direction with it. These little bitty strips here. And this around. Do it again. Right there. Here. And this way. And then, you know, the best way to make sure that those stick, of course it's sticky, is to take a piece and go the other direction. So now I'm going to go across like this. That way, I'm assured that it's going to stay on, you know? And it kind of helps smooth it out some. So now let's work my way around. You'll notice too as it's drying, some pieces will try and stick up. You know, just work them back down. That second layer is going to help make that stay down. Right now I just have one layer. All right. So our next step is to figure out the head. We want the head to be proportional to the body here, right? So you don't want the head to be too much longer than the length of this body. So if I, look at that, I'm gonna cut a piece of cardboard first of all about the size that I want that head to be. And then I can limit that. I can give that to the kids and say, you can't make it any bigger than this, Or you can let them figure it out. It's kind of a design problem when you think about it. And you just, yeah. All right, so if my body's about that long right there, and the bobble portion of it is going to be about right here, then this length right here is just about good, So then I would have them draw, the shape that they want. We got a neck, we got the head, right? Okay. we're going to try that and see if that works. I have high hopes, right? When I get done, I'm going to actually cut 2 of these exactly the same and sandwich them together. Right. Yep, check him out. Pretty close. And maybe he's a little off, not a biggie. One's just a tad longer than the other. Trim that up a little bit. Just like so, right? Now, if I want any contouring, there's a lot of different ways we can do that. We can take some newspaper and wad it up. That's one way. So I can wad this up a little bit, soften it out, and tape it in place, give him some roundness and on that head. Okay, so that's one way to do it. The other would be to take and make some smaller concentric circles that I just keep gluing on top. So there's one, and then I make a smaller one and a smaller one and a smaller one, right? And you've got a little bit more shape to his head. It's also going to add weight. Now that I've made a really big mess, let's talk about details. First thing is I have a second coat on my little creature guy here. And he's still a little bit damp, but he's looking actually really good. And he does balance really nice on those feet. So that is an exciting thing to know. So I have already done the paper mache on the head here. I made a little form so I could stick it on there so it wouldn't stick to the surface. It'll come off a little easier that way. So what I want to do though is I have this head. I think it's going to be a really cool head, but I want to add ears and maybe an eyelid. Okay. So what I've done is I folded 2 or 3 sheets of newspaper and then kind of cut an oval here. And if I come through and kind of punch that up a little bit like so, I don't know if you can see that, what will happen is that I can slip my little googly eye underneath there and it'll look like there's an eyelid over there. So I'm going to paper mache that on here in a second and put that on there. The next thing I wanted to do is to make a little ear. I think ears are cool. So I made this little ear. So how did I make that little ear? Really easy. I first cut a teardrop shape like so. And then you just make a slit in the cardboard about halfway up base here. Now, I will say when you're cutting cardboard with scissors, it cuts a lot better. If you cut at the back of the scissors, you've got more torque, right? Then if you try to do the tip, and that's the first thing the kids want to do, right, is cut with the tip. Cut back here, it'll cut really easy. Just be careful not to cut your fingers. Then what I'm going to do is kind of break the cardboard. Break it, make it soft. And I will take that fold and fold it over like so, and then tape it in place. And I have a really cool way to make a little ear shape. There you go. Now, I have options. I have all kinds of different surface preparation options. I can continue to Mod Podge either strips of fabric or maybe colored tissue paper that doesn't bleed. Or bleed if you want, but that would make a mess. Or I can paint. And of course, the paint that would be preferable would be maybe an acrylic paint of some sort. So I've got my little hook right here, like so, and he's heavy, but he's still going to kind of bobble around in there. So if I want him to have some counterweight, I might need to paper mache something right here, just to kind of give that a little bit of counterweight. So I think that's what I'm going to do, just because. I can take 2 little rocks and put them there and then paper mache them on, or just some more cardboard. But I think I'll do that real quick. Just because I'm back, and I'm real excited about how this is turning out. It's really stiff. So I'm liking that Mod Podge idea. Anyway, that said, now what I want to do is I want to attach the head inside this, and I've thought about several different things. We can tie it on, so I can kind of drill a hole and put some string and then tie it. That's one possibility, and it would swing around. And then I thought, well, you know, I could take another paper clip, and if I open it up, so see if you can see this. I'll just come a little closer. If I can open it up so that it's like this, okay, and this part right here would lay on top of the figure, and this part here I could just cut a little hole and put that into my piece right here. So that's what I'm planning to do. I'm going to take it and figure out where I want it, and then I'll just poke a little hole. Now, we want to do that safely, so I'm not going to stick my fingers in here, obviously. And I'm just kind of lining that up, the hole there, and I'm going to just poke, go through. So now, that just goes right through there, like so. I can twist it where I want it. I can decorate with some duct tape. I can collage over that to cement that in place. You know, it's a lot of little possibilities. So, okay, so, it needs to be tied there. Okay, so the hooker idea didn't work. It's not doing what I want it to do, so I'm going to go with tying it. Okay, so here's what I would say. I think this would work, but it's got a balance problem. It wants to tilt one way or the other, so it needs some kind of wing or something back in here to help balance that and give it more weight. And that would be a real cool engineering thing for the kids to come up with. However, I am going to go with a string and see if I can make that work instead. For that string to really cement in, I'm going to notch. So if you're going to do string, I would notch it first before I do this stuff. And I'm pulling it further up because of the weight problem. Yeah,